This will be a comparison between three or four of the budget earphones right now, and what I recommend you go for. It will be a comparison between these new CVJ Angel Wings. It will be compared against the KZ EDX and the KBEAR KS1, as well as the Pro version of the EDX. Now, the thing here is the fact that the the Angel Wing, when I reviewed it, I said the problem it had was its tuning. The tuning was the Achilles heel for the earphone. The build quality, I don't mind the build quality. The build quality, as far as I'm concerned, is good enough. To even a degree, I will even say great for the price range. But you know, when you start comparing it with other models that have been highly loved, highly recommended, like the very famous EDX, the EDX has really maintained a stronghold in the audio community for a while now, and it really deserves it, because after all, about a year now that it's been released, it's still competing. It's really, in fact, it's really destroyed so many budget earphones that have come out from then till now. Like, I call them wannabe EDXs. The EDX has maintained a very, very strong, how will I put it, longevity, considering the budget earphone market is very fickle. They move very quickly. It's almost like water. It just flows and flows and flows. There is no end to it. But the EDX came out, did very well, has maintained its wonderful run till now. So now, when you compare the Angel Wing to both the EDX and the KS1, it falls very, very short, because the tuning is the underwhelming part. It has a very, very hollow, muddy tuning, and I wouldn't call it V-shape, because you can do V-shape a lot better than what the CVJ Angel Wing has. The CVJ can be worked on. The CVJ Angel Wing can be worked on. If they can release a 2.0 version where they remove, I think the balance armature they keep adding to their earphones is what is hindering their performance. I believe it could be the case. I could be wrong, but I think that that particular balance armature is not good enough. They should just concentrate on just that dynamic driver, get the best out of that dynamic driver, and then release it to the market, because the dynamic driver, from what I'm hearing, can be better, because the bass is not too bad. It's not great by any stretch, but it has some qualities where I can say, okay, you know what, this thing can be better. The bass could be better. The mids could be a lot better. The mids were not that good at all. It's very hollow, very detailed. The mids needs a lot of work. The highs is another problem, because it doesn't really extend that well. The best that extends highs very well for me till now is still the EDX. The EDX does have, for me, the best treble that out of this three earphones here. The treble on the EDX is slightly better. It's fatiguing if you don't have the right ear tips on it, but when you get the right ear tips on the EDX, the treble for me is better. And one thing the EDX has over these two models is energy. It does have a lot of energy. Like, it doesn't need a lot of power to have that explosivity, especially when you're listening to music, movies, especially movies and gaming. Like, it has that dynamics, the dynamics that these other two models lack. Now, what the KS1 has over these other two is bass. Oh my God. The KS1 bass is just fun for movies, for music, and for anything in particular. The bass on the KS1 is just perfect. The KS1 till now is like a blonde BLO3 done well. Like, the BLO3 made bass fun again for people, for earphones. and the KS1 follows that. Until date, it's still maintained that I have the CP100, the smallest version, the smallest ear tip on it, because that's what fits my ears. I'll leave links to the ear tips if you're interested in that in the description. I have to say, look, the KS1 and the EDX are highly regarded and highly rated earphones, in my opinion. They've been there for a year. They've maintained that ranking. They've not dropped. I've never really gotten a particular model from another brand that has dethroned them. The closest that tried dethroning them at one point was the TRN MT1, but even that couldn't still do it. The TRN MT1, when I started listening to it over time, I found out that it had a very thin mid-range. It was very teasy, especially when you play it at high volume. It didn't have that control that these guys have when they play at a very high volume. Like the MT1, I couldn't use it to listen to content for a very long time at a higher volume. Whereas I could do that with these two, the KS1 from KBEAR and the EDX. The EDX, because it has it's slightly better treble and the mids are okay. And then the energy it has was its very big strength. The KS1 is fantastic bass. It has slightly wider soundstage, especially when you get the ear tips right. It has a wider soundstage, which favors it for movies and content in general. The Angel Wing could be better if it had better tuning to the drivers that were in there, because I can tell that when they manufactured this, they wanted to go for a very premium style tuning, but I think the drivers they're trying to pile up in one shell is killing them. They need to make a decision and stick to that decision. You understand? Take away that balance amateur in that shell and just leave it with only the dynamic driver and tune that dynamic driver very well, because so many other brands have been able to pull this off without even flinching. They don't even have issues with this tuning of a thing. Tuning should not be a problem for CVJ. They should get a tuner, somebody that knows what it's doing, that can get the best out of drivers. And that is the way they can break into the market. Their packaging for the Angel Wing is okay. I don't mind their packaging. The silver cable it comes with is okay. It's not the best cable that you can buy. And I don't even want to go into cables, because cables is something I have in abundance. I'm not in a dire need for cable or anything like that. Cable is never really my problem by any stretch, really. So I don't really like talking about cables, because it's not something I really care so much about, because obviously I have options for myself in that regard. So look, what I will say is that the Angel Wing needs work, and the work falls on the tuning. I wouldn't recommend it because it is not for me. The tuning is not done well. It sounds muddy. It's not that fleshed out like I want it to be. It doesn't compete with both the EDX, the KS1, even the EDX Pro, even the PRN MT1 doesn't compete with those models. Or even the KBEAR LAC, going back to the KBEAR, it doesn't compete with those models. But there is room for improvement. I know CVJ will release more models. They will release better models. And when they do, and they send out a good model that does perform very well, I will give it the positive review that it deserves, because I can see they're trying. The build quality on this is good. I don't mind the build quality, but it needs improving in its sound performance. And that's really, really important for someone like myself that reviews this audio product for these brands. So that's it. That is it. If you like this content, I will leave all the links to all these products in the description. If you like what I've said, if you like this content, go ahead, subscribe. You can also follow us on social media. Like this video, share it, and I will see everyone on the next review, and that will bring you guys more news reports on tech.